In a world of glitz and glam, flashing lights and screaming fans, most people are unaware of the war that rages behind the scenes. And that war includes your favorite artist and your favorite songs. This is The Dark Side of Songwriting. Hosted by Nayim Edwards.
When you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear and the less in control. Even if you are saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. Always say less than necessary. Law 4 of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. In the midst of the final stages of this Drake versus Kendrick war that's been going on for 10 plus years, I noticed that Drake ultimately lost this battle because he could not stay off social media and just let his music do the talking. Both of these people came out at the same time. If you remember, if you were there, I was a child when they both came out, and they came out right in the middle. And when I say right in the middle, I mean both of them had an understanding that you had to go outside, shake hands, kiss babies, go on tour, go from city to city, build your people up the right way. But they both also used the internet and had to have an understanding of how to use the internet to their advantage and reach more people than they could just, hitting the beaten path. As they grew and as they got older and as they matured in their careers, because I would personally argue that both of these people went up at the same time. One side was a little bit more favorable because they made a little bit more watered down, digestible music, I'll say it like that. Drake made more digestible music, but Kendrick wasn't no slouch either. So they both progressed pretty much at the same rate until one of them started shooting up. Now, when they first, and I mean, they're both pretty much, they're both still being mentioned with each other. So that's a very good indication. They both got big records. One, obviously, because the music's more digestible, it can appeal to more people and it can be in more places than music that is not as digestible as this. It's still pretty digestible, but it's more culturally rich for specific type of people that enjoy that kind of music versus music anybody can enjoy, that can be played anywhere, that anybody can be a part of, that is pretty much vague, and it doesn't really have the stick. As Drake progressed, it didn't really have that sticking to the ribs quality that the Kendrick Lamar music made. This is why one side can put out as much music, as minutes in the day, than the other side, Kendrick Lamar being the person that I'm only going to put out music when I feel like putting it out. I'm only going to put it out when I have something to say that I feel like is going to be a cultural statement. What ends up happening is it starts off as this little friendly thing. We going back and forth or whatever. We competing for who the best because, as mentioned in all these songs, talking about the big three, Kendrick, Drake, and Cole being the big three, we already knew it was going to ultimately come down to Kendrick and Drake just because of sheet for sheet, resume for resume. But as they grow and they go and they grow and they grow older, like I said, people start splintering apart and going their separate ways. Where we ended up here, because how they exchanged dishes was line in a song here, couple lines on the album here, couple songs, give you a verse there and there, and it was all cool until we reached this shift in music, and we're in the middle of a shift now. This is why a lot of the things that people like, they're not as popular as the things that are brand new and refreshing, because everybody's looking for something. Everybody's looking for that shift because music changes so much, and it changes I say fast, but every 10 years we get something new. Every decade is going to be something new, except for the hit makers and the people who can remain classic. But in the world of social media has given everybody that 100% invest in it this false sense of everything. Like, I don't even know where to start. Social media has conflated the ego of so many people, and not has it only conflated the ego, it's made people feel like they could leapfrog what the roots are, leapfrog what the culture is. Because we see a lot of people come up on the internet, they feel like they don't have to go outside. We see people in the metaverse investing in all these different kind of coins. They've never done a show, they've never been outside, they've never even something as simple as burning a type of CD. You know, you hand a person a CD nowadays, they look at you crazy. When people that are around my age, and well, Kendrick and them are way older than me, but like those people that are almost 40 plus, you understand that that's a keepsake. That's something that is a keepsake. It's called a keepsake, not a keepsake, like a cheapskate, whatever. You have an understanding that having something physical in your hand means just as much as being able to have it 100% on your phone all the time. But a lot of people get lost in this social media thing because it allows them to be able to be who they always wanted to be. It allows them to say the things they never would have had the courage to actually go outside and say, because they might get punched in the mouth. People might look at them like they weird. People might flat out reject them, or people will flock to them and they don't know how to deal with it. This crept in very, very, very heavily with this Kendrick versus Drake thing. Drake thought he was going to leapfrog what you actually had to do to maintain that number one spot, which was, this is the time for you to rap for your life. Kendrick Lamar is 100% the boogeyman when it comes to what Drake was. See, Kendrick Lamar doesn't, he has social media, but he's not as active as most people would be. If he does put something up there, so it's a whole like, oh my God, Kendrick Lamar said something, you know what I'm saying? So he's always maintained, at least to us, because we know that all these people have their own private pages and stuff. You know, I know one of Kendrick Lamar's private pages that is not that main Kendrick Lamar page, but he's maintained a silence where, because he's been silent for so long, it's, you don't have a choice but to rely on the music. You'll get to see every now and then what he's doing. Somebody will post something about what he's got to say. Somebody will say something, but anytime you see him in heavy concentration, it's because music is coming. It's because it's the music. The most you're going to be able to see him is see him posting his music and talking about his music, or things that's got to do with the music, or it might be some silly offshoot of something. Maybe back in the day, back in the Gap, he would have things to say about what was going on. But as he grew and as he got older and as he progressed, he understood that I need to maintain my silence, because we really don't know really much about the other side of the social media side of him, because he doesn't participate. Drake, on the other hand, before, back in the Gap, he wasn't really on social media like that. But then as he got older and progressed in his career, he came to social media. And this is what really hurt him in this battle, because it started off this particular subset of the battle. Because before I say that, the thing with Pusha T was, Pusha T gave us the kid name and gave us all this stuff, and was all this name drop. It was a lot of crazy stuff that ultimately that was a rib shot, and it hurt him. And it was a headshot actually, but it didn't hurt him as bad as this Kendrick Lamar thing did, because Drake did a lot of talking on his Instagram. Drake did a lot of all this meme stuff, and like the Kill Bill stuff with the Rick Ross and stuff. Like, all these little fires was brewing, and a lot of what he did was show us that he was funny by posting and talking and XYZ, how long before you drop, when is you gonna drop, he ain't gonna never say nothing back, I hit him with this, I did that, he was all on the song, yada yada, you know, all these social media shenanigans, when it should have been you shutting your mouth and waiting for the music to come, or dropping music until this person comes back and drop. Now, when Kendrick actually drops the music, that first song, you think it's like, I'm gonna still get on social media. I'm gonna get up here and blah 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 blah. And he did the same thing when it came to Ross and all these other people saying crazy things about him. He ran to social media. He ran to talk about it and meme about it because he has an understanding of the internet that's gave him this false sense of him being the ultimate champion and being able to stay the champion, not understanding that social media is probably the fakest place you can go if you're talking about looking at everything as a whole. You're gonna have your diehard people that's gonna ride with you no matter what. Shout out to the fleet. You're gonna have the people that are casually looking at you and casually whatever. Then you're gonna just have people that's just gonna tune in to see what the drama is. And because you have more interactions, because you have more people tuning into the drama, because you got more people tapping into the mess, you thought that that meant you was winning the beef. That meant you was winning the rap war. You I don't know what that was. You was playing chess while the person who decided that I'm not going to say a word, I'm not going to get involved in a social media meme, I'm not posting no pictures, I'm not doing anything but rapping, they were playing Call of Duty. You was playing chess and they were playing Call of Duty. Because if all you seeing is people clowning Kendrick, people dogging on Kendrick, people ragging on Kendrick, you would actually believe in your mind and in your heart that you are the sixth god. I love that song, by the way, the one he just dropped. But you believed the bullshit that people told you online, not understanding that the culture is online, but not really. The people outside is what's going to determine every single time. They are going to determine who lasts, who's the king, and how long they last. So all that playing online and shit. I'm sorry, I keep scratching my nose. I just put cocoa butter on. I'm probably greasy as hell too. All that playing online and going back and forth and paying blogs to champion and doing exclusive drops and stuff, that was cool until the tidal wave came through and wiped all of that out. And you cannot respond to a tsunami with a mop. That's not how you respond to that. You didn't understand that, and a part of that was you thought you were bigger than what the culture was going to be. Now we see that all that running your mouth and all that talking, it really backed you into a corner because this man dropped 3 songs in a matter of 24 hours, and the last song you dropped, you sounded so defeated. You probably would have had a better chance of not being able to read what we was hearing if you wasn't doing all the social media shenanigans. And this is what really brought you to your knees, was conflating your ego and conflating your worth in this culture, not understanding that people online are fake. If somebody do something that's better than what you're doing, they will act like the shit that you've done means nothing. They will actually act like you didn't do it. And what was so potent about how cold Kendrick came at you and just was hitting you with headshot after headshot after headshot after headshot after chest shot after stomach shot and clipped you up under your legs, was he came in Euphoria. He didn't make much of a fuss about the details of what was your issues. I mean, he went at you and it was hard. It's still hard. But when you came with that little song that you did the video for, it was just like, okay. But then he came back with They Not Like Us. That was his chance to actually get in there and put the knife in you, twist it, and let you bleed out. You still decided that you was just going, okay, I'm not going to say nothing online, but I'm going to go and I'm going to, pour my heart out, and I'm not this because this, I'm not that because that. But it's like, You did not tap into the culture because you thought that because the internet was on your side, it was going to stay on your side. Now you're in a situation where you did all this talking, you did all this playing, you did all this social media nonsense, and it ultimately has the whole world turning on you, the whole world clowning you, the whole world, just like what happened with Meek Mill, it's happened to you. Remember when you came out with Charged Up, Meek Mill didn't say nothing, and then you came out with Back to Back, and then the whole world and every corporation online, people, Domino's had buy a pizza, use cold back, you know, all of these things that you did in the Meek beef, they're translating over here into this Kendrick thing because when you was in the Meek beef, it wasn't none of that talking. It wasn't none of that playing the internet game. It wasn't none of that. You hopped out at OVO Fest, you shut it down and put them on the screen. You did everything you were supposed to do right with that, but because you don't have good people around you that's telling you you cannot, at your age and what with the status that you are at, being or was number one, you can't fight this enemy with the internet. All those other people, they were not the boogeyman. This man is legitimately the boogeyman, and you cannot play chess with the person that's got a machine gun about to run into your house and take everything out and kick over the fishbowl. You can't do that. You thought those old strategies, because the internet told you you won. The internet said that you won. They're inflating you. They're telling you what you did a good job. You're seeing concentrated people tell you that the other side is whack, but when you go outside, that's not the case, because they're playing the music at the NBA game and they doing all of this, and now everybody all of a sudden rises up and let it be known that the culture is more important than whatever the internet is talking about. We're going to be on his side because we have discovered through this person not saying anything and just putting it in the music and not putting BS in the music and lying in the music, putting things that we have cultural proof of in this music by only saying the necessary things they had to say to make sure that you go into your grave forever. It cost you, because the people around you didn't tell you you had to evolve. They didn't tell you how to fight this person. Everybody else, there was chickens in hot grease. This was a bulldozer coming through the front door, coming through a straw shack, and you was not prepared, and nobody told you. And that's what cost you. You know, we're gonna go through a couple of more. I actually got a lot more of these law videos in regards to this, because this is a very critical lesson for those who think that every opponent is equal. You can't just listen to the positive things that people say about you or say to you. You need to listen to the negative criticism too, because of all the things that you said. Nothing that Drake said about Kendrick has stuck more than that song, you know, making the clowns like, oh, they can't make no club record, you you this. And it's nice because Drake does not have a problem being the villain, but fighting a culture battle with a person who actually decided that at no matter what cost, and y'all say my beats is this and I'm this, I'm that, I'm not on social media, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm gonna take that chance because this might be the thing that saves me in the end. Because we knew that eventually this was gonna happen. And once you're number one, there's no other position to go but down. The people around you really enabled you and set you up for this L by making you think that the BS that you saw online was real. So we'll be back tomorrow for sure. I know I be saying that all the time, but we'll be back tomorrow with, I think I'm doing Law 5 tomorrow. But take care of yourself and take care of each other.